Shalom, Koholo, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rahahakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barad the Ball, coming to you from the GMS campus city in Africa. To all those listening and learning to you, I say Shalom, especially to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Today is just cautionary tale. Um, Part 12, and of course, um, just very short. Uh, Try to get straight to the point. Hopefully, still edifying, all the same. But as you can see, woman shot in head after driver follows uh, her from work, and so it says a Philadelphia woman was shot in the head Saturday morning after leaving work. Says police say the 23-year-old noticed she was being followed by a black Nissan on I-76 after leaving work in King Kershaw. Um, the driver of the Nissan, which had heavily tinted windows and an inoperable left front headlight, followed the woman to North 5th Street in Philadelphia, where they then got out and fired multiple, it says they, got out and fired multiple shots at the woman's car, striking her in the head. It says the suspects then hopped back in the Nissan and drove off. The woman was taken to a nearby hospital by private vehicle around 3 a.m. Officials say she is in stable condition. All right. Um, and what is the first thing that came to mind when I seen this, of course, was the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verses 15 and 16. It says, "Seeing then that we walk circumspectly, circ is like looking around. I'm looking. I mean, is around. Excuse me. And spec is to look. So we to look around, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, for the days are evil." So now that we are in these times, we're in the evil times, where now you have the tariffs situation, where people are starting to worry about prices going up. You have a lot of people that are overly worked, looking to pay for paying bills, and the reason, and other and whether it be children, um, child support, um, um, whether it has to do with just any form of necessities needed, to survive in the system. And as a result, with people being highly stressed of some cases, they then go on to social media, they make their rants, or they have issues with different people, and as a result, things can turn tragic. All right, people are in home, having words with their significant other, and things can become tragic. Just seen a video where I'm not sure how old it was, but young man, young gentleman is doing like 3 life sentences plus 63 years because the guy that was looking out for him, who pretty much raised him for 15 years of his life, didn't give him funds that was needed, and so he actually unalived him, and then his girlfriend that was with him, he unalived her and was going to burn down the house, also the dog. And they actually asked him if he had any remorse, and he said he had no remorse. So you have people that are walking around, and he said he was actually looking for to actually hurt. And so, um, but he said he was going to be strategic in the people in which he was looking for to cause more harm to. So these things are ramping up. All right, you're seeing that also with the floods and the storms that are happening upon the earth. And these things, of course, people are going to be displaced, the deportations, And so, with all of this, when we leave from our homes, we should be praying to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, giving honor to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. His prayer, when he tells us, Yahweh Shai told us how we should pray. He said, pray in this manner, our Father who art in heaven, the Lord's Prayer. And one part that always sticks out, of course, the whole thing, it pretty much encompasses our whole life and how we move throughout the day, throughout our life, throughout the day. But the one thing that stands out, he says, lead us not into temptation and deliver us from evil. So, we're in those evil times. This is the book of, and not knowing really the situation, that she pretty much was um, followed, and they hopped out and they shot her car up. Now, for whatever reason, a lot of times things like that aren't necessarily random. It may have been somebody she knew, could have had beef with, all kind of things, and maybe more information will come out about it. But the main point I wanted to say is that we have to be careful in how we speak to people. We need to be careful in how we treat people, as the scriptures say, do unto others as you would have done unto you, roughly paraphrasing, right? Um, honor, love thy neighbor as thyself. The two commandments, which just encompasses the whole law. Honor the Lord power with all thy heart and thy soul and thy mind. And the second is like unto it, love thy neighbor as thyself. And if you do these things, you actually cover a multitude of sins. Okay, by keeping the laws and commandments and having charity, to your especially your Israelite true believing brothers and sisters. But this is the book of Second Timothy, chapter 3, 1 through. I'm just going to read 1 through 5. Actually, just read a few, maybe through 5 since I mentioned it. It says this also know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, perilous meaning dangerous. So anytime we step out, the scriptures tell us that we are in the valley of the shadow of death. With the valley being a low land and morally here in the Americas. At any given wake in moment, you could you could you could actually see your demise. If it's not, unless Yahweh Bashim shall have mercy. Driving in your car, whether it be driving in your car, you could be at a ballpark or at a stadium of some type of place where many people are gathering, and then you have someone just randomly run their car through the crowd. You actually have situations where people are going into schools and shooting. You being pulled over by so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have been pulled over by the police and mistakenly been mistaken for having a gun and have been unalived. Um, and you could just drop dead in general, right? Because of the stressors that are happening upon the earth. But it says, so we're just in dangerous times. And then, of course, we're in that time of Jacob's trouble where it's actually only going to increase. Okay. He said, but the elect shall be saved out of it. And the elect will be the ones who are putting on as the elect. And if you look up, put on as the elect in the KJV, it'll give you the details of what you would be, how you would be moving. And then, um, um, and I lost my train of thought for a brief moment, but yeah, if you put on as the elect, and you'll be calling on the true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay, but of course he says the time of Jacob's trouble, but the elect, but ye shall be saved out of it, which would be the elect. Okay, and that's in the book Daniel chapter 12, and also again in Jeremiah. Forget the chapter for the moment. Might be 15, 16. But reading further, it says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, okay, covetous. So they're going to be looking for things that you have. And lovers of themselves, they're only going to be looking out for their own self. And you remember, you just mentioned, love thy neighbor as thyself. but the world is going to be loving their own selves, trying to figure out how they can get game and get over. All right. It says boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents. You haven't, like I told you, the young man before, pretty much unalived his caregiver. Unthankful and unholy. So he was also unthankful and unholy. I used again her that read was just a spark of all these other thoughts. It says, without natural affections, truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. And these are all the vibrations of Esau, even the so-called white man, which he's pushed out in the earth. And he's putting that squeeze, gradually as like a snake, a boa constrictor, gradually putting on the squeeze to where the people are going to stress out, and there's going to be even sedition among men, infighting among men, right? And it says traitors, heady, high-minded. So people that you thought that was so close to you, that was really your friend, are gonna trade. They're gonna change on you. All right, heady, high-minded. And there's always this inflated pride. And the scriptures tell us in Second Ezra chapter 8 verse 50, it says, "Many great miseries shall happen unto them that dwelleth upon earth, because they walk in great pride." There's going to be a lot of shame happening upon people upon this earth. Uh,
In Proverbs, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before the fall. Also, Yahweh Shai, he mentions in Isaiah, he says, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day, for all the proud and those who are proud, lofty, and haughty shall be made low. Scriptures also talk about um, um, those that have been that are proud shall be abased. Okay, and just roughly paraphrasing, I believe that's in the book of Luke, and it says, having the form of godliness but denying the power thereof. So you're going to even have those claiming to be Israelites, as you're seeing a lot of people who claim to be Israelites at one point. Now they're switching sides. That's also traitors, okay, against the Heavenly Father, right? It says lovers of pleasure, back to 4, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. So these people are gonna be all into the world and what they can receive out of this world to entice or to feed their flesh, so to speak, feed their hunger, their thirst. And it's only gonna be about them mainly, and their children and what they can get. Okay, and then it tells us, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So many of our women are going to get called out there. It's more women than men, so a lot of our women are going to, as you can see, could get pulled up on and shot, snatched up, ravished, if you look up that term. And so this is just the times that we're in, and we have to just, when we leave, keep our heads up. People are always on their phone, heads down, not paying attention, always in a relaxed and joyful type of state. And these aren't mirthful times that we're in. Going out at any hours of the night and thinking that they'll be okay. Last verse, it says, having the form of godliness but denying the power thereof, such turn away from. So you're going to have those who are going to come speaking goodly words, or trying to at least fair speeches, but like the scriptures tell you, if they speak not according to this word, there is no light in them. And some of those main people will be those of these other camps, speaking about the commandments and not following the things in which they speak of. And you get those, like our apostles and elders have mentioned, it'd be those of IUIC, ISUPK, Genesis, and also Sakari, just to name a few. So I hope this lesson was edifying, uplifting, and exhorting to the elect body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening and learning to you, I say, Shalom.